Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the 13th Fleet After Action Report. I am very glad that you are joining us this evening. Want to remind you that we are sponsored by Admiral Tater's Ship Shop. If you want some absolutely awesome Armada accessories, this is definitely the place to go. And he's recently put out a new product that you'll see in a lot of our videos. They are new obstacles that are a lot thinner than the cardboard ones, so it makes placement a lot easier when you're playing the game. Something that you definitely want to check out, so go to Admiral Tater's Ship Shop. Also want to take a moment to remind you that we currently have a competition going on. We have a contest right now where you can win this tray that you are seeing right now. The link to our Discord is there where you can suggest a name for our Thursday Night Armada show. We're kind of transitioning away from Thursday Night Armada because, well, I don't always get it up on YouTube on Thursday. While we play the games on Thursday, I kind of wanted a more universal name, so I'm looking forward to seeing what some of your suggestions are. Go ahead and join us on Discord. Let us know what you think, and you can go ahead and get a chance to win this tray. Now, another thing that I have a favor to ask of everybody. I hope you take the time, tell your friends, and go ahead and subscribe to the channel on Twitch. Really need the help to get to a certain level on Twitch so that we can actually start getting some funding in to cover some of the technical expenses that we've got going on. And with you guys joining in on Twitch, that can help me do that. We're also looking to have a few people on the chat at the same time, which would really help out. But I'll get more into that later on. That's more something to help the show, and I really hope that you guys will have the time to do that for us. As far as what we got going on tonight, well, right now we have the original crew with us here. We got Reuben.
What's up, everybody?
We got Garrett.
What's up?
And we got Nick.
Hey, everybody.
So we do want to get into our generic officers, but to start with, we've had a few things going on the last couple of weeks since the last show, and Garrett and I went to Tip City, Ohio to play in the Thunder Forge tournament, and thought I'd give Garrett the first chance to say what he thought about what went on there.
Yeah, we had a great tournament. Thomas at Thunder Forge Games always puts on a really good show for us. We had 18 signed up, one dropped, so we had one buy, so 17 players, which is really good for like a middle Ohio tournament for Armada. It was awesome though. A lot of really good players. Dame and Paul, Rundis, our own Chris and Aaron, and a lot of others there. It was great. So, a lot of people practicing for Worlds because we live really locally to Milwaukee.
Looking forward to that a great deal.
Yeah, it's going to be super fun. But yeah, no, it was a great time. Everyone is having a blast. So we had 3 rounds. I flew Trench again. I had a good time. I played, obviously, because we were in the same car, I played Aaron in round 2, and we fought each other to a beautiful 6-5, and that was the end of our tournament basically. And other than that, it was a great time. So, but Chris had his best tournament ever, which I was really excited for him. He even got a win on stream.
Oh yeah. We do have, just to remind you guys, if you go to the YouTube channel, you can see action from all 3 rounds of that tournament. I was involved in the round 2 stream, which was pretty much a knockdown, drag-out fight. I have discovered that my fleet is what I would consider a haymaker fleet. Okay, you get a big swing, and you either knock them out or you lose. That's pretty much the way that goes there. So, first round, I did get paired up with a new player, so it was a little bit lopsided. It was still a 7-4. I mean, he once he figured out what was going on, he did pretty well, but he set up kind of poorly, and so we talked about that after the match, and he was he has the basics down. He just needs to learn some technical details. Of course, I still need to learn technical details too. Second round, like I said, was a really, really big brawl against Reagan. It was a fun match. I had a great time on it. Wasn't sure if I had actually won that, but I snuck out the 6-5 there. And then the last round against Eric was kind of embarrassing. It was a 10-1. He wiped me. He wiped me really, really bad. He knew exactly what to do to my fleet and took care of business.
Eric's a good player.
He did end up winning. So
yeah, he took first.
And then last week at the Thursday Night Armada, got a chance to be on the stream again. This time I was playing Jeff and his really irritating mines and obstacles. But I feel like I flew really well against it. Still the closest game I've ever played. I won by 1 point.
Yeah, you guys were throwing raids at each other because he flies Reuben. Right?
Yeah.
Pretty funny.
How did your matches go? I didn't get to pay attention to what was going on around me.
Oh yeah, round 1 I played Reagan, who you played in round 2. It was pretty good. We fought. He had a Deltakin squad ball with like a bunch of Y-wings, and then Axe and Ahsoka and everything. All right, maybe he didn't have Ahsoka. And then so I was able to smash through his squad ball, and I should have flown off after I had succeeded in my mission of blowing up his consular and his squad ball, and just flew off in the glory. But I was like, nah, I'm gonna turn left and try and finish this acclimator and Venator off. So I got his acclimator, and then I thought I had turned hard enough to get out of the side arc of his Venator, and on the 6th round, his last shot, he got enough damage to finish my Providence off. So it ended our game in like a 6-5 my favor, which was pretty good. So, but it was a blast. I love playing. And then played Aaron, and then Aaron, I played his Asteroid Tactics, and he set up Wormgate, where you set up like a semicircle of obstacles. I went in to attack him. I successfully destroyed nothing, and then he just successfully destroyed nothing. And then finally, I got really annoyed and just tried to throw fighters to take out his Z95s, and he was able to get my ace and a fighter, and so he won like a couple of points. And then so that was another 6-5 in his favor. And then my last round, I got to fly against what was it? It was another heavy Deltakin Venator fleet. And he got to fly into my Wormgate on Asteroid Tactics. So my Exogorus and Flak chewed through like 50 hull points of Arc 170s. And then I managed to finish off the whole Republic fleet. So he fell for the Wormgate temptation and came in, which is pretty fun.
People need to avoid that. Yeah,
dude, I love
Tactics. It's such a trap.
Yeah, so Wormgate, man. So yeah, it was a good time. Everyone had a blast. We had lots of good prizes, so it was excellent. I can't wait till I think we're gonna do another one in April after Worlds. So everyone's like really excited about Armada up there, which is great.
Yeah, they definitely have they have a really, really great crew up there, and it's always fun playing at Thunder Forge.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to see once they open up the April. They have a date yet? Is always the first weekend?
He wanted to see if people would still be excited after Worlds, like in case everyone wasn't like burnt out. I think was his plan. Yeah. But from my experience, when you leave Worlds, you're more excited to play Armada than ever before.
I know I was.
So I think there'll definitely be a need for people to play.
Yeah, I'm waiting to see. It's usually on the Discord. I'm waiting to see when they post a link or something.
Yeah.
All right. Well, what we
do the post-car talk, like the 4-hour drive back, and then we do nothing but talk about fleets right after Worlds. We've done that a few times with Garrett. Yep, it's the best part.
Build like 30 fleets.
Well, it did.
Yeah.
It did make up my mind that I needed to change my turbo laser upgrades on my hard cells.
Yes.
Are you trying? Are you trying? I was gonna say you're trying heavy turbo laser.
No, I was using heavy turbo lasers, and I switched to DTTs on Thursday, and they did very well for me.
Mm-hmm. Nice fixing.
Yes.
Yep.
But let's start talking about officers, and when we start talking about generic officers, we kind of decided that we wanted to speed the process up a little bit by just lumping all of these F-tier officers in one big group here. So we're talking about, the wing commander, weapons liaison, tactical expert, navigation officer, defense liaison, and engineering captain. And why are these bad?
Just do the dial.
Because
you want to do it.
Yeah, I think to say they're inherently bad, I think is a little misleading. These officers become less useful the more experience you get with the game. If you're brand new starting out, maybe you need a defense liaison to just correct your large Command 3 ship. But once you know what you're doing, you generally don't get a situation where you need an officer to correct your dials or generate token I'll switch your dials around. And I would say though, if you are in a meta where a lot of people love to run slicer tools and champs and doula, maybe something like this could work for you. But there are, even then, skilled first officers and support officers exist. So they just fall off the wayside very quickly in your Armada journey.
Yeah, they're core set beginner list officers. I think it's the best way to look at them. Right?
Okay.
Yeah.
As far as that's why normal play, F tier.
Yeah, at a 400 point standard competitive format, you just don't see them because those players who have been playing for years have a plan. They're using officers that are better synergized with their strategy or do just more. Because, if you're navigating a whole game with a ship and that ship never gets shot, defense liaison, which lets you change a dial to a nav or a engineering, you're just never going to use it because you were just playing the game better.
Yeah. I think the only one that has true use is a wing commander on a carrier. Mm-hmm. Because, your whole list falls apart if you don't have squad commands. So, maybe, again, if you're, in a situation where you're facing a lot of slicer tools, that would be a good thing to have.
Even to that aspect, you have things like, is it flight command? What's the other one? Is it the flight commander? Yeah, flight commander, wing commander. Flight commander, if you're running a quasar, you have the pursuant title that lets you just kind of do that,
The Empire has other tools.
Yeah.
Wing commander, really only works for basically Republic.
I'll say the Republic. Yeah,
okay.
It's the only heavy team flying squadrons without a magical double dial to make squad dials like Trench.
All right, well, moving on to the officers that we really want to talk about, we'll start off with the chart officer, which is hiding in the background of Garrett there.
Yes.
After you execute a maneuver, if you overlapped an obstacle, you may discard this card instead of resolving the effects of overlapping that obstacle. And this is 2 points.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good value. It's hard to find a place to put this card, but it's super cheap. Before we started our talk, Nick was talking about how it's really competitive on the ships to put this. But if you have multiple smalls and you plan on just running over the enemy, a chart officer and a Jaina's Light can both do some shenanigans that the enemy can't do for obstacle play. But yeah, no, it's a good card. I would say it's a solid B tier officer.
Yeah, I would say B or a high C, where it's just a really good standard, where it's she's really good, especially for 2 points. I mean, you can't complain. And if like I said, I always think on an Imperial list, that's also a Vader choke. If I have to, so she fits in that same 2 point. At the very least, it's a reroll. She lets you do some funny things. You can have a starter for her go speed 3 and fly through a gravity rift, knowing that you're going to overlap it, discard your chart officer, and then jump off of it next turn. You can catch your opponent off guard. There's just not a lot of mean, it's just she does what she says she does. She'll ignore an asteroid. That's a crit you have to take. You can surprise your opponent. You can get out of a sticky situation, but it's a once a game ability. It's not gonna I mean, it might be the difference between your ship getting out, but
she would have been useful against. She would have been useful against Jeff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think especially now you see Ezra Bridger, you have interdictors. We've got at least 3 different obstacles or objectives that move obstacles around. Hey, if there's a big list in your local meta that somebody's running a lot of obstacle shenanigans, maybe a chart officer helps you get a leg up on that particular matchup.
But I do have to agree. I would probably put it high C just because there are so many other competitive options for it.
Yeah.
So next up, we've got Damage Control Officer. I'll let Garrett take this one.
Yeah, so Damage Control Officer, when you resolve the crit defense effect, you can prevent the attacker from resolving any critical effects. This card recently got its last points adjustment. It's now down to 3 points. This thing is an awesome card, especially for Super Star Destroyers. I think it goes well on any large that doesn't need a specific officer. And if you're in a meta that is doing special crit effects shenanigans all the time, this card pays huge dividends. Because, if you're getting Overload Pulse and Boarding Troopers a lot, slap this thing on your Venator and stop letting that happen. The MC-75, if you're running 2 of them and you've got your important officer on one, throw this one on the other. Now you got 2 contains. You're never taking a special crit. Yep. This card has a lot of use. I think it should be seen more in metas that are, annoying with these APTs, and if you're facing a lot of Patriots fists, doing stuff to you at long range, this thing saves your game.
Yeah, this officer is the best second seat officer, right? So if you've got any of your really strong faction defining officers in your front seat, then in the back seat of your ship, your second officer slot, DCO is really, really good. It's just that there's not
too many. Yeah,
have 2 seats in them with this kind of effect. And Starhawk needs the combo of ESTs and Adar Talion or Whale Explosives and Agate to keep itself tanky through normal damage, so you don't see DCO on it that often.
Yeah.
And she's also really meta dependent too, because you can go to a 3-round tournament and not run into any critical effect upgrades. But yeah, no, I think she's probably my favorite generic officer, just because I've seen her work so hard on my super.
Well, and then the other thing is you also have to have her on a ship that actually has a contain.
Right. Yeah. So there's only, certain ships you go on. She's not a small ship.
No.
Unless you throw her on an
Orcatens?
A C-70 or a Hammerhead. Pretty funny.
All right, so next up we've got...
we need to put her in a rank, right?
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to say solid A tier.
I think
this is a tiers for the generic officers. Don't compare it to faction officers. These are tiers for generics, right?
I think, again, she's one of my favorite. Now, after seeing her work, after losing my super to so many Overlord Pulse combinations and getting blasted with ion cannon batteries and heavy ion emplacements, your super just melts to those really compounding crit effects. She is a game saver. So I think I'm gonna say A tier for me.
I'm gonna go top of B because she's the quintessentially good generic, and we'll see where everything else lies in relation to her.
Yeah, I tend to
3 points. It's crazy value.
At 5 points, B tier. 3 points.
I still go with B tier just because of the number of ships that she can go on. But
it's large ships you want.
Yeah, but still.
Some of them only run large ships, Chris. Just only run large.
Oh, okay, Jason. Up next, we have Expert Shield Tech. While defending during the spend defense tokens SEP, when you spend a redirect defense token, you may reduce the total damage from the attack by 1 instead of resolving that token's effect. Has that changed in points, or is that still 5?
Still 5.
Okay. I mean, it's still worth it.
EST is one of those officers for me that you got to really have an argument to have another officer on that ship. If you've got at least one redirect token, especially if you got 2. If you got 2 redirect tokens and you've got EST as an option, what else are you bringing? And if it's not EST, is it better than EST? That, I think, solid S tier for me.
The map of this card might be one of the best defensive map cards in the game, period. Because the minute you take a squadron bomber attack from averaging, most of them do about 1-ish damage, maybe 1.75, and you go, oh, it's 0 now. Nothing else in the game does that at all. So, like, it's just so good. Like, this is an S card. This is what you compare everything else on this list to, because you see it all the time. It goes on smalls, mediums, larges, and sits in the seat, does its job on your double redirect guys, cancel 2 damage a turn. Oh, PDI sees that black hit crit. Oh, you turn it into a 0. Haha. Your blue crit. ESTs is 0. Haha.
And Marzum's pick points out that it's good with Lumi and Tranquility.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It like makes Luminara pelters.
Don't remind me of that ship.
Nearly impossible.
Yeah, I love running it on my like very squad light, you know. I run a lot of very low squadron lists with a Star Destroyer and something else. It is so effective at being able to mitigate like a full turn of bombing damage, or just even if it's non-bomber, like the YT 2400 spam, you get 8 throwing black non-bombers, and you just say, okay, I've got at least 2 or 3 damage I can just negate off the get-go.
Yeah,
so
this fleet, it's like you spam multiple Architans, EST on all of them, except for the ones that got Nita. Luminar ESTs, like we said, ESTs and Kenobi. It's the only way you can make Kenobi like really work. ESTs on ISDs, ESTs on MC80s, ESTs on.
Is there a ship that this is bad on? Well, GR75s.
I don't know, it's right. And like, if you can combo this, like Reuben says, like PDICs, 7th Fleet Star Destroyer title. Anytime you can just start like, I'm going to brace your damage 4 to 2, EST to 1, 7th Fleet Star Destroyer to 0. So yeah, no, it's a crazy good card.
So we all agree S tier?
Oh yeah.
All right, so next up we have Flight Commander. During your activation, you can resolve your squad command after you execute a maneuver. And that is still 3 points, correct?
Yeah.
Yep.
Sorry, I've got old images, so I have to double check everything.
This card is a fun card. I wouldn't say it's a meta-defining card. It's a fun card because it changes the way the game works. Because instead of, squadrons going first, they go after you shoot. One big loss we had is because rapid launch bays changed to how it resolves. You discard to launch all your fighters. No longer do you need to do a squad dial to activate that card. So it no longer you can move your ship and then resolve Flight Commander and then rapid launch bays. You have to drop the fighters, shoot, and then do Flight Commander. So it's not as good, right? You have to shoot, move, and then do Flight Commander. So it's just not as good for that.
I feel like it's something that you have to have a plan for going into.
Yeah,
Definitely.
I mean, usually it's for stuff when you don't have boosted comms. And you're like trying to catch up to things.
Yeah, it's helpful when you don't have boosted, or say you want to take it expanded, or hey, maybe you're trying hyperwave out. I don't know. It also changes up the timing, right? Every other ship is going to do their squadron and bombing run before their ship gets to shoot. It could be, Flight Commander can be useful against something like Sloan, or something with Sloan, where you say, I want to shoot you first, and then if you brace my token, now I can have my TIE fighters come in and rip that red brace off. So it does interact with the timing of your shot versus squadron commanding.
The only time I've seen this card competitively is on a Plo Koon drive-by fleet, where it just tries
The Venator.
to dump the whole Venator rapid launch phase, dumps the whole attack on you. Because it'll go speed 3, fly at you, and then drop everything and bomb you. And that doesn't work anymore, right? So the stocks on that might be down, but now the actual Assault and Commander Wolf actually work now. So maybe that's better? I don't know. This card...
You can Invisible Hand. You can still do this with Invisible Hand.
Okay.
For those
Garrett,
brave people out there.
You can try it out. Let us know.
That could be entertaining.
I swarm vultures.
Is this card better than DCO? In my opinion?
No.
I'm going to say...
I feel like it's a C.
That's what I'd put it. I think that's a good spot.
Drive by with it anymore. I think it's worse than DCO.
I think so. I think it's a C. I think the rapid launch phase was a really interesting interaction that gave it a lot of power. Because again, like Flight Commander, I was never really nervous about seeing a Flight Commander until you saw like that Venator with 5 Arc 170s, and you said, okay, I have to be able to deal with that.
Right.
If I see somebody running Flight Commander, it's kind of like the same as running boosted comms. I go like, okay, they're just going to push their squadrons after they move. There's not that many situations, especially as the opponent, as the defending player. There's not that many situations where it's going to change any decision I'm going to make.
Well, next up, we have something that I think nobody is going to argue with. You want to go ahead with Hondo?
Yeah. At the start of the ship phase, you may discard this card to choose 2 different command tokens and place them on 2 different ships. Then your opponent chooses 2 different command tokens you did not choose and places them on 2 different ships. He's 2 points. He's in basically every fleet that's ever made. So both players are usually both Hondoing. Obviously S tier. At this point, I make this joke a lot, but like it should just be an ability into the game at this point, to where each player gets to do this once per game or something. But yeah, it's crazy good. The interesting thing about his interaction is it doesn't define friendly or enemy ships. So, like, no matter what, these 2 tokens have to go on a ship. And if you only have 1 ship, and your opponent has 3 ships, like, they get one of your tokens.
Oh, man, I didn't know that.
Yeah, because like, they have to go on 2 different ships.
Very rare.
It's a funny interaction.
It's also really funny because you can do that to a Radis list if you want to Hondo on turn 1 before the Radis drop, and you can say you got 1 ship.
You get all 3 tokens, yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, Hondo. Obviously, he's the trusty old pirate. I don't know.
Trusty is probably the wrong word.
I would say A tier. Because if you're taking the officer, then you can't run Hondo in the Slave 1 squadron. That's
okay. Whatever.
Okay,
S tier, overridden. So
yeah, I got to go with the rest of them there. S tier.
No, 2 free tokens. I mean, it's always your choice. It's 2 tokens of your choice. It's on any ship you need. It's not even at distance. So
yeah. Put them anywhere. Doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
So next up, we've got Intel Officer. While attacking, after you roll your attack pool, you may exhaust this card to choose 1 defense token. If that token is spent during this attack, discard that token. Is that still 7?
Oh,
yes.
It's still good at 7.
Still good. The key about this card is that its activation window is after you roll your original dice pool. Okay, that's important because you cannot do any of your modifications or additions to your dice after. You don't do those until after the Intel Officer is spent. So you, like, when Akbar Gigadrill shoots you, he gets the 4. He intels you. He rolls the additional 2 and then does all his cake in his shoulder and reroll. Now, I love that assault frigate absolutely to death. I have killed my friends repeatedly with it, and they hate it, and they hate seeing me play it because it's just savage. And that's like the only note I have is the window is very specific. Learn to do it correctly because you don't. It's not fair to your opponent for you to have extra information.
Yeah, I haven't played around with it terribly much, to be perfectly honest.
It's
It's strong. Yeah, I know it's strong, but I don't know. I've had other choices that are more important to the builds that I've been running.
I think. Go ahead, Garrett.
Oh, sorry. I was gonna say, this is my favorite. Like Reuben was saying, if I'm ever feeling like a jerk, it's my favorite gotcha card. Because be like, oh, you forgot the intel officer, and then like don't let your opponent do it after they roll their dice. Yeah, I like that. Anyway, yeah, S tier. This card's amazing.
Yeah, still really good. We do have things like thermal shields. That does change the interaction. It's still so good though.
You intel their redirect, and they cry.
Yeah.
There's so many like.
Yeah, you can.
Now let me.
This one interaction I agree with. It sucks, but like, there's so many ships this thing can just knock out.
I was going to say I wanted to make sure I understood the timing interaction with thermals because they will reduce your die pool before you throw the dice, which means that happens before the intel officer. So.
Yeah. So the brace has already been spent, so you can't. Yeah.
Because thermals occurs on the gather dice step part of the attack, which is the first step.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I just wanted to be clear on that. Okay, up next we've got Skilled First Officer. Before you reveal a command, you may discard this card to discard the top command dial, and he is 1 point.
Oh look, Vader fodder.
Yeah, I was going to say, he's just dying to be choked by Vader.
And this is also like this, SFO is the card. The reason why I'd say all those liaisons and what we talked about, like in F tier, this is why those cards are not good anymore. You have them once a game is the one time you really need to change your command pattern. There you go. He's 1 point. And then now you have a Quasar that needs to navigate. Well, you had Squadron lined up because you were just going all squadrons the entire game. Well, discard your squadron, get your navigate when you need it. Any command 2 ship now becomes command 1. Command 3 ships come command 2. I mean, and it's Slicer's insurance.
Just don't discard the bottom of your stack where you won't get a dial.
I was curious to see what this came out in. It came out in the Liberty expansion pack in 2016.
That's earlier than I thought this thing came out. I thought this was a later patch card. Where they
That's what I thought.
Looked at the design of what they did before, and we're like, "Oh, these cards don't work. How do we do this in a way that works?" Okay.
This was definitely like in the original, like playtesting for sure. It's interesting.
I still feel like it's just a B grade there.
Well, for all the other factions, not that useful.
Yeah, no,
really.
being able to put it on like I can take 5 Architens with a Vader officer on a Gazanti and have a Skilled First Officer for 1 point, and I've got to reroll, every once per ship, once a game.
Yeah,
it really is Imperials really benefit from that extra Vader reroll.
Mm-hmm.
And that can be said for a lot of these generic officers. So
Probably A for Imperials.
Yeah.
B for everybody else.
So we're going back to the choke factor, are we?
Yeah.
It's
A chokeable.
chokeable.
Next up, we've got the support officer.
At the start of the command phase, you may discard this card to discard all your command dials. 2 points. So this is just
So
like
it went down.
Yeah, it went down to 2 points. It used to be 3 points, I think.
I think it used to be 4.
Yeah, I'm showing it at 4.
Oh, did we used to be 4 points? That's funny.
Yeah.
This is a card that like nobody took either because of Skilled First Officer. So this card is not. I like that they reduced it in points, but I don't know what I would use this card for when I have Skilled First Officer available.
Yeah. The only ships I could see this on would be like a Starhawk or Super that are Command 4, right? And because
I got
you
shammed.
yeah, you got chammed, and you go like, okay, cool. I didn't want a squadron 4 turns in a row with my Super Star Destroyer. But like, is Cham Syndulla that powerful of a boarding team that he's going to really be defining your local meta? You know, maybe
And he's got Leia officer too, where you can
Yeah, Leia for the Rebels.
what you need.
Yep.
So.
Support officer, again, it comes into that whole, like, if you're experienced enough, you know what your list is doing, those Command 4 ships, honestly, you're probably doing a lot of engineering and navigating more than anything with those Command 4 ships anyway. So you wouldn't need to go like, oh, it's turn 3 and I completely need to change what I'm doing for the rest of the game. Let me use my support officer and reset my dials. Maybe
Okay, so that was the question I had, was exactly how this works. Okay, since it's at the start of the command phase, you discard everything, and then you have to set dials for all of your. Okay.
Yeah, the way the command phase reads is that you set all of your unstacked dials.
Okay.
Put them on the
So
bottom.
essentially, this is a dial reset.
Yeah.
Right.
And still, I don't like it.
I'm gonna say D tier. It's just above F, so it's D tier.
Yeah.
D tier.
Chokeable with a C, I guess you could say.
Boo.
He's like, but you can always choke skill for officers. Like, why would you?
Right. Why would you take this? Yeah, exactly. No.
I'm on board with that D rating here.
Yeah. No. You never see them when skill first officer's 1 point cheaper.
Yeah. So last up, we have Veteran Captain. When you reveal a command, you may discard this card to gain 1 command token of your choice. And I'm showing him at 3. Has that changed?
2 points
He's down to 2.
Okay.
I like this card. I like this card now a lot.
Yep.
He's a Hondo for yourself for 1 token.
Mm-hmm.
I like him. He fixes a lot of. If you're ever building a fleet with like IF and ECMs or all sorts of like little things that you need to collect tokens for, and you're like 1 short in your math, this guy is just there.
Yep.
He's there for you, hanging out. This 1 token.
He's very clearly defines what the game designers assign the value of 1 command token to. So keep that in mind when you evaluate their cards in the game, like your other officers and stuff, because we know that if I give 2 tokens to my opponent and I get 2, that's 2 points. That's what Honda does. And if I get just 1 token myself, that's also 2 points. So we can see how they really feel like a command token is worth about 2 points of upgrade. So when you look at other stuff and like evaluate what you're trying to do with your fleet, just keep that like in the back of your mind. But this card itself, because of how that valuation calculation works, a lot of the unique officers are more valuable in the game because of that.
Yeah.
Because like Ramus, over 6 rounds in a game will give you 6 tokens. Therefore, he's getting 12 points of value for 7.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing that I would comment on with this is that he only works on the ship that he's on. So, you can't shove him back on your flotilla and pop him so that you can get a token on your main fighter there, which is something that you can do with Hondo. So
you combine him with your tools, right? CommsNet, Clone Navigation Officer, just like stuff, right?
Yeah.
Veteran Captain also has a really interesting reaction with CommsNet, because you can put your GO-75 or Gazanti with a Veteran Captain, and then say you need to navigate or push squadrons with your flotilla, you can Veteran Captain to CommsNet that token while also doing a command with your flotilla. And so that's an interesting thing for 2 points, you can let your flotilla once a game also do something. And so that's, you could think of it that way, as you're letting your flotilla get a full command dial instead of just a token.
Okay. But in the end, a lot of times you'll see Hondo in that same seat on the CommsNet.
Right. Yeah.
Flotilla. because it's 2 tokens of value for 2 points.
Yeah.
And you can like, work out how to deal with your opponent getting the 2 bad tokens.
Yeah.
So that's why people play it.
Yeah. No, I don't
Solid
think he's.
B tier.
I could go
B.
with B. Yeah.
I think this card is definitely underutilized. Like its value is there. You just have to find the C for it.
Well, and the other
I
thing,
definitely would.
I guess the other balancing factor when it's a natural comparison to Hondo, but the other balancing factor is you can only have one Hondo.
Yeah, you can have all the vet captains you want.
That's if you need them.
Yeah, granted, not everybody flies 5 ships like I do, but
Well, and now that we have things like munitions and parts supplies, that's kind of fit that role as well.
yeah,
I would say, like veteran captain, I would agree with the B tier, especially in like the vacuum of like a generic officers tier list.
Yes.
I would definitely say a veteran captain's a B tier. You don't see them because there are just more specialized officers. Like I never run a veteran captain because I have Wolf Yularen and Commander Vanto in the Empire that to do my token fixing for me.
yeah. I mean, I've got Tykes, so
Tykes. I like the idea of vet captain. I think I was talking to one of our locals in Louisville, where we like needed a 5th con fire token for something, and I was like, well, let's just throw a vet captain somewhere, and then we can rune Haka that off that ship to our main ship, and then power our fleet command with it, right? So,
yeah. I think of all of the officers we've talked about, vet captain has a lot of potential interactions. Because you have things like Rune Hako, you have things like is it Leia or Ahsoka that lets you spend a token to change Ahsoka. So it's just now we have more upgrades that interact with tokens on other ships or just tokens in general. That veteran captain has a lot of utility. So.
All right. Well, that actually goes through all of the generic officers. We got a little bit of time left here, so kind of want to hear what your predictions might be for Worlds. What do you think we're going to see?
It's a big topic. Wow.
Who knows?
It's going to be surprising. I think there's going to be a lot of nasty Radis. A lot of nasty Radis. With all the cheaper Rebel larges.
Yeah. Rebel's going to be in like force at Worlds, I think.
I'm calling it now. Rebels are winning World. No question, they're winning. The question is how many Rebel fleets in top 8? I'm going to say 4. 4 top 8 Rebels.
What it was last year, basically.
Was it what? Really? All right, 6 top 8 Rebels.
6 top 8 Rebels. I don't think it's going to be.
I can name that tune in 5 notes.
I think I'm going to go with my boy Damon. I think he breaks top 8 this year. He's a great player, good guy.
Yeah. And
this
CIS.
one I haven't been able to see him because I've been doing other stuff. But I think this might be the CIS top 8 finally year because they've been out. But their tech is so good now. The Martuk tech, lots of damage, consistent, does everything that you need to do in the game. The 6 Vultures with TI-99 is excellent tech for this 55-point screen or 134 meta that we're in right now. I think Imperials will do good with the large plus 134 plus support ship and float. I don't think we'll see Rebels experimenting with that yet. I think Poles are going to keep playing the 4 CR90 stuff. Maybe Black Admiral might crack it this year too, because he's been a couple of tournament points off from winning Worlds. All the times I know, right? He's one of the best players in the game that still hasn't won a Worlds. So
I can say for a fact that after being Martucked, it is painful.
Oh yeah.
All the CIS archetype fleets got buffed. Every single one of them.
Yeah.
Squadrons, Martuk, Trench, TF, Grievous. They all got buffs. So
the only faction really in the doldrums is Gar, because Gar players, everybody moved away from them because they're so hard to fly, and we haven't seen a lot of innovators out of their meta leaders. What's his name? He got really close to that one.
There's a few.
There's a couple of them.
Elder, I think something like that. The French Anakin. And unfortunately, Team France isn't coming this year. But he definitely would have brought his Anakin.
Gar is so weird because their archetype has not innovated at all since Anakin Squadron came. It's always been basically the same squad build: 2 Peltas, Venator, Mercy Mission. Or like Pelta, C-70, Venator, Mercy Mission, right? And they they don't have a float, right?
Pelta spam, and then Anakin, I think, is their best actual admiral at this point, just because of layering fire.
The consistent,
It makes sense.
But and it's easier to fly.
But will anybody be willing to take that to Worlds as Gar? Because Gar is notorious for being the hardest fleet to fly.
Yeah. So well, without Nicholas there from France, I think that's our best Anakin player. So I'm doubtful.
It's just a ton of Rebels and Imperials at Worlds level play because they're easier to do.
Well, they're just more popular,
and they're more entrenched in the game too. Like they just have more tools. I definitely feel like with our big points change and everything's shaken up a little bit. Even though we saw a lot of decrease in points, I feel like Empire lost some of the market share. We really didn't see, there was really no point decreases to Imperial ships or squadrons.
Light cruisers, baby. You're gonna see more Architons.
Yeah. I mean, they're good, but it's just it's not what the Empire does best. So I feel like we are gonna see more. Separatists and Rebels, I think, are definitely gonna take up some of that vacuum. I would love to see Gar come up there, and maybe somebody found something that we just haven't seen yet. Somebody's figured something out. They are gonna come out to Worlds. I don't know.
It's raw skill, baby. That's what they need. Just raw skill. I don't have the raw skill to make it happen.
So
with all the excitement that I saw people talking about the Architons build, I wouldn't be surprised to see one crack the top 8. Just one. I'm not saying that there's
maybe.
Yeah, I'm.
It's so.
Granted, I am the least experienced out of all of us, so what I say take with a grain of salt. But
I would just worry that. So I mean, I've been flying like the Architons Vader list. I've been trying to make it work. I just don't think they can win hard enough. Like you can win a game with them, definitely. I just don't think they can win like those 8 or 9s that you need to really top table.
Yeah, I think like Architons fleets, like once they run into like one Patriot's Fist list, it will like destroy their day because the Patriot's Fist will just be like 1 Architons down, 2 Architons down.
Yeah.
And then by the end of the game, you're flying away with 1 Architon, so that Patriot's Fist ate all of them.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's Onagers too.
The Onager. Yeah. Because if I wanted to go full villain arc, it would be throw on ISD 134, do all the double bombing, cackle maniacally.
Right, like quote, Montana's list.
Quote Sidious, all the stuff that I do, it'd be...
Right. That list will make it again, I think. Something like Montana's list with the Thrawn.
I think it's the strongest raw archetype in the game. It's the Thrawn 134.
I feel like I should have been practicing with a more balanced list than what I'm going to be playing. I mean, I'm to the point now where I'm not switching. This is what I'm playing. Yeah, no. Can't do that. I'm locked in. I'm playing what I'm playing, but I'm gonna have like really good games and really bad games and nothing in between. I don't think.
Yeah, and I think that's totally fine, right? There's gonna be 150 players. Like, there's only gonna be 8 top 8. So.
Yeah.
Go to have fun and meet.
Yeah,
I am. And I'm bringing the cam gear, so we may do some discussions after events. I'm hoping that I can actually get it set up on some of the side events and get to have some game footage, but I make no promises.
Speaking of side events, I haven't. So I know I did not plan on going to Worlds this year. They still have a full like sector fleet.
Yeah,
set up?
Task Force sector fleet. There's like a pre-practice day, full tournament before day 1. And then there's the team tournament.
Teams again.
Yeah, I know I'm doing Task Force.
Yeah. Yeah, if anybody's watching this and you've never played, I say it all the time, so I know you guys are tired of hearing me say this. I'm going to vouch for it again. Sector Fleet is the most fun I've ever had playing Armada.
I think that's what Damon told me they were going to do in April, was a Sector Fleet.
Sector Fleet? Yeah,
Like 2 rounds, center point something.
Marzum said looking forward to seeing anyone at Worlds. So
Yeah, Mars, I'm going to see you there. And don't worry, Mars.
I'm sorry.
I'm still making your prizes.
sorry.
I know I didn't message you back. I apologize. Right? But I'm making them.
I just want you to know I love my Shaza Bay, and if you could vicariously give me some more of that good Aussie and Anzac stuff from Garrett, I'll take it. I love you, man.
The Shaza Bay. Yeah, that's the best card.
all right, well, with that, I'm going to close out the show here, but I want to start by thanking you guys for joining me.
Yeah, thanks, Chris.
And
That was
our next show will be immediately after Worlds. Be the Monday after. So
Nice.
Good luck.
Nice.
Good luck to everybody going to Worlds and safe travels.
all right. Take care, guys. Thanks for being on.
Goodbye.
All right, so thank you for joining the show tonight. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Want to give you a heads up again. We've got the contest running, so if you want to join in and try to rename our Thursday Night Armada show, there are the details there. There is the tray of tools that you can win if you sign up for that. I also really, really encourage you to subscribe to the Twitch channel, as well as encourage your friends to subscribe to the Twitch channel. We're looking to bolster the numbers there so that we can get some things going for the show that will help us improve the product. You'll see a lot more stuff going on if we can get that going. So I appreciate that. And thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful week.